March 9, 2024. Saturday, 3rd week of Lent. A reading from the book of the prophet Hosea, chapter 6. Come, let us return to the Lord. It is He who has rent, but He will heal us. He has struck us, but He will bind our wounds. He will revive us after 2 days. On the 3rd day He will raise us up, to live in His presence. Let us know, let us strive to know the Lord. As certain as the dawn is His coming, and His judgment shines forth like the light of day. He will come to us like the rain, like spring rain that waters the earth. What can I do with you, Ephraim? What can I do with you, Judah? Your piety is like a morning cloud, like the dew that early passes away. For this reason I smote them through the prophets. I slew them by the words of my mouth. For it is love that I desire, not sacrifice, and knowledge of God rather than burnt offerings. The word of the Lord. Responsorial Psalm. Respond is, it is mercy I desire, and not sacrifice. Have mercy on me, O God, in your goodness. In the greatness of your compassion wipe out my offense. Thoroughly wash me from my guilt, and of my sin cleanse me. It is mercy I desire, and not sacrifice. For you are not pleased with sacrifices. Should I offer a burnt offering, you would not accept it. My sacrifice, O God, is a contrite spirit. A heart contrite and humbled, O God, you will not spurn. It is mercy I desire, and not sacrifice. Be bountiful, O Lord, to Zion in your kindness, by rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem. Then shall you be pleased with due sacrifices, burnt offerings and holocausts. It is mercy I desire, and not sacrifice. Verse before the Gospel. If today you hear His voice, harden not your hearts. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. Luke chapter 18. Jesus addressed this parable to those who were convinced of their own righteousness, and despised everyone else. 2 people went up to the temple area to pray. One was a Pharisee and the other was a tax collector. The Pharisee took up his position and spoke this prayer to himself. O God, I thank you that I am not like the rest of humanity, greedy, dishonest, adulterous, or even like this tax collector. I fast twice a week, and I pay tithes on my whole income. But the tax collector stood off at a distance, and would not even raise his eyes to heaven, but beat his breast and prayed, O God, be merciful to me a sinner. I tell you, the latter went home justified, not the former. For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, and the one who humbles himself will be exalted. The Gospel of the Lord. Reflection. The parable in today's Gospel reading relates to prayer. One man prayed a prayer of thanksgiving and the other a prayer of petition. We all pray in petition and thanksgiving at different moments in our lives. Indeed, probably the prayer of petition comes easier to us, especially in these days of national and global crisis. It is often when we are in need that we pray with greatest fervor, and when we are in need our prayer is generally one of petition. We can easily neglect the prayer of thanksgiving. At one level the Pharisee's prayer of thanksgiving was very appropriate. He thanked God that he had kept God's law, which suggests that he understood that his keeping of God's law was due to God. It was God who enabled him to live according to God's will. However, his prayer was fatally tainted by his disdain for a fellow human being, the tax collector who was present in the temple at the same time. He seems to have forgotten that love of God, expressed in prayer, was inseparable from love of neighbor, even if the neighbor left a lot to be desired. There was no disdain for anyone in the tax collector's prayer of petition, except perhaps for himself. His prayer reminds us of the little speech of the prodigal son when he arrived home, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. The Gospels assure us that such a prayer for mercy when prayed with sincerity of heart will always be heard by God. As today's responsorial psalm expresses it, a humbled, contrite heart, O God, you will not spurn. The parable reminds us that our prayer to God, whether it be a prayer of petition or thanksgiving, always needs to embrace others in love. Praying for each other is one of the ways we can show our love for each at this time of social isolation for many.